Hey guys, welcome back to the next Learn Dota episode. This one's about efficiency in farming, or learning how to accelerate the speed that you collect resources. Now some of these might seem like really small benefits, but if you add up all of these small benefits, they end up being a much larger advantage. The first thing to ensure, as any hero in a Dota game, is to always spend your time doing something in Dota. Doing something looks obvious when you're last hitting, killing neutral creeps, or attacking a tower, but in between these obvious moments, you have to move to your next task. If you hesitate before beginning movement, you've wasted time. These small seconds of waste might not seem like a big deal, but we've all been in moments where we get somewhere late. We were late to save an ally from a gank, we got to the pull late and now we can't pull, or we missed a stack timing. These little missed windows often happen because of a missed second or two, so once completing a task, make sure that you move on to the next one as fast as possible. When it comes to farming creeps, especially over the course of the game, wasted seconds add up to minutes, and those minutes get translated into a slower GPM or gold per minute. Here's a few ways to shave off some seconds. When farming, especially through jungles, you have to move between camps after killing each one. Having higher movement speed lowers the time that it takes to move on to the next camp, so obviously having boots is necessary. To make it even faster, you can cut shortcuts to the next camp using the quelling blade that you probably bought anyways. Cutting a new path means your walking path is more direct, so you gain some seconds. The pattern that you choose to kill camps is also important. It's usually best to walk from the camp you're at to the next closest and systematically clear them all the way through the jungle. You wouldn't want to skip over one camp and then have to double back to finish it, then double back again to where you were before. Try to plan out your next camp to farm while you're killing the current one. The hero Weaver can abuse his spell Sakuchi in a cool way to increase his farm speed. Sakuchi makes him invisible with max movement speed and deals damage to enemies that he passes through. So when Weaver is clearing a camp, he'll attack all of the neutrals so that they're low enough, and then he'll use Sakuchi to finish them off and take advantage of the movement speed to move to the next camp rapidly. If he's lucky, he'll get there in time to deal Sakuchi damage to those as well. If you're approaching a camp and neutrals are about to respawn at the top of the minute, it's usually a great idea to stack the camp before killing it. Spending some seconds to stack the camp means you can kill 2 camps without walking as much, and makes your AoE damage more effective by hitting more units. That makes your mana go farther, and means you won't need to buy as many mana regen items or go to base to heal, which is a lot of seconds wasted. Some heroes have really long range AoE abilities that help them hit 2 camps. When aiming your ability, make sure that you aim for your next camp instead of shooting in a random direction. Another way to do this is to pull multiple camps into your AoE damage. This is common with Gyrocopter on the dire side of the map. You can pull the Ancients and both of these camps together, and then use your area of effect spells to hit all 3 camps. Even if you don't have a stacked camp, or your spells can't hit 2 camps, you should still kill each camp as quickly as possible. If I'm Lina dealing AoE damage to neutrals, I wouldn't want to be attacking the low HP creeps in between my spells because they'll die to the AoE before the stronger creep does. Always attack the high HP creep while using AoE to clear the weaker ones. The same principle applies to heroes dealing physical damage. Anti-Mage with a Battle Fury doesn't want to waste time. He's trying to get to 3 AM when the fun ends for his enemies. He's cleaving to 3 equal health units, so he wants to attack different creeps every time so they all die at the same time. If he auto-attacks instead, he'll end up attacking 1 or 2 extra times, and he loses a second. Now with all of this talk of neutrals, it's important to remember that lane creeps are the easiest to kill, and they give much more gold and experience. A typical wave of creeps is 3 melee and 1 ranged, and at the start of the game it gives you about 167 gold and 240 experience. It doesn't take long because your creeps help, the creeps won't attack you, so now you just have to get the last hits. Easy. For neutrals, a small camp gives on average 66 gold and 107 experience, medium camps 80 gold and 144 experience, large camps 101 gold and 171 experience, and ancient camps 173 gold and 261 experience. That's right, 1 creep wave that you kill by yourself gives you almost as much as an ancient camp. And neutrals also fight you, you have to deal all the damage, and you have to tank all the damage. That's almost impossible in the early game for virtually all heroes, so what this tells us is priority of farm in the laning stage. Lane creeps are by far the best until you pick up enough items to satisfy some other conditions and move to the jungle. You have to deal enough damage to clear them rapidly, either through area of effect abilities or attacks. You have to be able to sustain the damage you take either through lifesteal, damage block, or health regen. And you want to be able to move rapidly between each camp so that your farm rate increases. So here's some common items that fit these categories. Category 1, damage. Items that deal area of effect allow you to kill creep waves and jungle camps much faster. The downside is they don't provide much survivability, so you often have to play a bit carefully until you finish your next item. Battle Fury is maybe the most popular, which is a moderately expensive item that provides regeneration, cleave, and damage. There's also Maelstrom, which does pseudo area of effect damage and is the better option for ranged heroes. Or even Radiance. It's a very expensive item, but it deals area of effect damage and increases your right click by a bit. A less obvious item that gives you area of effect damage is mana regeneration. If you pair a hero with really strong AoE skills, like Lina or Storm, you can use your extra mana to jungle rapidly. Clarity potions on heroes like these are a must, since it pumps out a lot of mana to your hero that you can spend to increase your farm speed. It'll pay off, and you'll have more gold and levels in the end. Tankier sustain items like Vanguard are really useful for jungling, but sometimes a health regen item like Tranquil Boots work just as well to heal back the damage that you take in a faster way. You can also abuse Shrine regen when needed to keep you on the map instead of going back to base, or even a bottle, since you'll be in the jungle and near spawning runes anyways. Just remember that spending a little gold on items that keep you sustained is important because they keep you busy hitting creeps, which gives you golden experience. Walking back to Fountain is time not spent getting ahead, so be efficient. The best sustain items often come from lifesteal for any hero who attacks to deal damage, since you can heal back some of the damage dealt, and you'll be dealing a lot of damage to neutrals. The item Mask of Madness works really well here, since it makes you run and attack much faster. The downside is that you have lower armor, and you're silenced, but it's one of the best ways to increase your jungling speed while still giving you sustain. For movement speed between camps, Phase Boots is a great way to save some seconds. Mask of Madness helps here, or buy Yasha on agility heroes for the movement speed, attack speed, and damage. If you happen to have a Force Staff or Blink Dagger, that gets you from camp to camp faster as well. So those are some of the items that you need to be able to jungle quickly, but they can also help with lane creeps. If you're playing a hero that doesn't have the best area of effect damage or can't jungle very fast, the best way to spend your time in the early game is to take advantage of the choiciest farm. That's the lane creeps of course, but to get more, you can split your time between the lane and the jungle. Because the creeps come every 30 seconds, all that means is that you have to kill the creep wave quickly, and then spend the leftover time in the jungle before the next lane creeps show up to die. You don't always want to kill the lane creeps fast, especially right away in the laning stage because it means pushing your lane, but later clearing one wave and one neutral camp every 30 seconds means that you're farming faster than before. A hero that loves doing this in a slightly different way is Axe. He can sit behind the enemy tower and cut the creep wave by tanking the creeps and dealing AoE damage. To get more out of this, you can drag the creep wave to the nearest small camp. Now you're killing both the neutrals and the creep wave in one motion, and you can fit in a second neutral camp before the next lane creeps arrive. Now we've almost extensively covered how to increase the speed that you kill neutrals. Here's one of the most important lessons you'll ever learn in Dota: tread switching. Tread switching is about changing your treads to the stat that you need in the moment, in this case when casting spells. The way mana bars are calculated is it remembers what percentage of your mana pool that you're at. So when your total mana changes by picking up an energy booster or switching to intelligence treads, your percentage always stays the same, but your total mana and current mana will increase. So when you're casting spells, it's more efficient to switch to intelligence treads before casting a spell, then switching back to the boots that you actually want. If you tread switch properly, all of your spells effectively cost less mana. If this Wraith King casts Wraithfire Blast on Strength Treads, it costs him 140 mana. If he casts it on Int Treads, it costs him 140 mana. But when you switch back to Strength Treads, it really only costs him 97 mana instead. Tread switching is OP. You can cast almost 4 Wraithfire Blasts when tread switching, and not even 3 if you don't. You won't have to go to the fountain as often, and you can spend less money on mana regen items. You need to tread switch, especially in the early game when your regular mana pool is low. You also need to tread switch when getting healed for both health and mana. If I'm about to heal myself with my wand and I'm missing a lot of health, I'd want to switch to agility treads so that my max health and my max mana is lower. Then I get more health and mana from the wand heal and can then switch back to strength treads. You can abuse this in ways that don't require power treads, like temporarily dropping your items. Putting them on the ground works, but it's dangerous in case an invisible hero is nearby. To be safer when using a shrine, you can move them to your backpack for a second and back into your inventory again. They won't be active for a few seconds during the heal, but there's no chance that they can be stolen or destroyed by enemies, and you'll get more benefit from the heal. Alright, the final point I want to make with farming is late game creep clearing. You've been a beefcake all game, you do tons of damage, you can kill creeps in like 2 hits, so you start to get it a little lazy. When you get lazy, you start missing some easy last hits because you're auto-attacking, so here's the safest way to get every last hit in a late game creep wave. You have a strong right click, so what you want to do is only attack creeps that aren't taking damage from your creeps. This guarantees that you won't get your last hit stolen. If a creep is about to die, stop what you're doing, get that last hit, and then go back to slaying. If you have an AoE skill, get last hits if the creeps are about to die, but start prepping for a wave clearing AoE. You can do this by attacking each range creep once, and start attacking the rest of the melee creeps to be low enough to secure every last hit with your AoE skill. Because your AoE skill deals much more damage than your right click, it's a safer last hit. You also won't spend that much time on each wave, nor attack more than you need, so now you can run off into the jungle and keep gaining advantage over your opponents. Alright, that's it for episode 8 of Learn Dota. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope it wasn't too many small concepts, but there's so many different skills and ways to deal damage and ways to collect gold that there's a lot of different ways that you can accelerate that, and thus I tried to pick some of the most common ones, and hopefully you can apply those to your games. Thanks for watching.